Right up here. Come on, you can be in it.
Go on, do your intro.
My fellow citizens. My partner and I.
As in me.
You never interrupt. For this Christmas welcome, we would like to go throughout the year of what achievements we made.
I can't laugh because you do that so well. Like, it almost sounds like the Queen. We're here because we're going to be talking about this year. You've seen a lot of videos of ours come out, but they haven't really been what we've been up to. They've been educational, they've been camel focused, of course, like most of our life. But ultimately, we wanted to sort of digest a little bit with you guys, you know, what we've been up to, how we started the year, and where we're actually going and how that's going to impact you in 2021. So, the start of the year.
Shall we continue?
We will do a bit of a timeline because if we find this entertaining, to be honest, like this year has been entertaining to the max.
Entertaining's not the right word for it.
Well, how would you put it?
Catastrophic?
Catastrophic. Yeah, but it's not really because we're still here. We're still doing our thing. Like, nothing terribly bad.
For ourselves, yes.
For ourselves.
For ourselves. However, I mean, you know, naturally there's been a lot of people that have been suffering greatly throughout this year, and, you know, our hearts go out to you. So, yeah, it's been a mixed bag of emotion for so many reasons.
So for us, the year started in January of this year.
Well, even
2020.
before that, actually.
Well, yeah, it started in October 2019. But then if we just stick to the program and just follow this year, then it will make more sense. So,
Okay,
so the video doesn't go for 2 hours.
So don't mention the drought.
Well, I mean, that has...
That was
Okay, why don't we mention 1982, or better still...
Oh, that was a great year. That was a great year. Oh, I had so much fun.
This is what we do. We banter. So, okay, let's just start at January. What was happening for us? We've got some B-roll. You know, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can always watch the video associated with this because we'll have some video footage on the things that we're talking about. But yeah, for January for us, it was... we hit the ground running. I mean, that's when we were evacuating. That's because we had the bushfires around here, out of control. I mean, pretty much all of Australia. It felt like all of Australia was on fire. Like someone you knew somewhere was definitely under threat of fire. And to like thinking about it now, it just makes my heart sink. We're on the ground, I suppose, you know, amongst the East Gippsland fires here. It's really smoky, so really croaky in the voice. The camels are here in the yards. We're safe at the moment. The wind's just started to pick up now. Today's been declared, you know, possibly another catastrophic day. All the camels here had a really, really big sleep last night. They barely bloody moved. They were really tired, I think. Like, at least with the virus, we can contain ourselves and hide in our homes and stuff. When you have a home and you have a fire in threat, it's not a safe place to be anymore. And that was scary.
No, it was scary.
Just was exhausted over there. And today we'll just wait and see what happens. We are in a safer location than at our property.
I mean, there's some funny things that came out of it, like when I did one of the evacuations, and I had all the animals inside the station wagon, and got to the police checkpoint where, you know, they weren't letting people back into the fire region. I was coming out of the fire region, and the goat had already climbed over the seat and was practically sitting on my lap as I'm trying to drive. Of course, this copper stops me, and the goat sticks its head out the window and, and the police officer just said, "You got out, get out, go."
You know, like, I mean, you can hear the whole story about our evacuation on an episode we did, if that, you know, appeals to you. But our end message with the evacuation and anything that's urgent, could be a flood, it could be any natural disaster. I mean, life is proving time and time again that this stuff does happen and happens more regularly. So we did a whole podcast about that, on the importance of having your animals trained, particularly camels here, trained to be trailered and floated to safe locations if that be the case. And I know that some students of ours through Camel Connection have actually used those skills in emergency situations. So you know, that was kind of our biggest lesson, is like, well, thank God we did the work, or we have the skills to get the job done.
Well, that first evacuation of all the animals found that it took longer actually to go ahead and truck, because we only got a small truck and lots of animals, and so loading and unloading, then coming back and loading and then unloading, etc., etc. It actually took longer than to just hitch the camels together in train or caravan and to just walk them out. And yeah, there was a little bit of element of risk attached to that.
Because we're only about 8 or 9 k's from where we were taking refuge, so for us that was feasible.
Yeah, but I did have a walk through the bush to do that, and of course it was the bush that was on fire. But where I was walking, it hadn't caught light yet. So yeah, it was a calculated risk.
Everything you did during that period of time was a calculated risk.
Everything.
Like, it's insane. And like, we're sitting here in December when, like, this time last year the fires were happening all around us, and it's been raining. Like, you know, we got what they call in La Nina, which is a wet weather system coming through in the summertime, so the grass is green, there's not a dry thing around, which is just insane to think about.
Just looking out the window as I'm speaking right now, yeah, as Tara says, it's all green, it's lush, it's really like, you know, how it should be.
We've got fruit on the fruit trees.
The
like
comparison to last year, last summer, it was totally brown. There wasn't anything alive on the ground really. We were hand feeding the camels intensively because we'd been through a long drought, and our tank was just about empty. Our dam had already was empty. It's full now. The tank's full. Just the comparison's just amazing. And
now more than ever we have more animals on the property, which we'll go into shortly on why we've actually got more animals towards the end of this video. So then there was the fires, and then there was kind of like the recouping of the fires, I suppose. Like you get in this adrenal mode where you go. It's survival. It all depends on your survival.
But actually this area had closed. So like all these lockdowns that we're all experiencing now, or, you know, throughout the world.
We were in our first lockdown.
We were already in a lockdown before the COVID
true.
You know,
they just didn't
pandemic.
call it that. Yeah.
And so all the tourism, which is a part of our business.
And it's actually a big part of our local town is 90% tourism.
Yeah,
Easy.
so yeah, you'd go down the street and you'd be the only person down the street. And it was red. So everything was red. It was dark red. It was an ash flying around. It was pretty amazing. But yeah, then the COVID came, and we were actually still in town with all the animals in a secret location. And on the news it was talking already about the virus. It hadn't been called a pandemic, and I said to Tara, this is going to be big. And
of course that went straight over my head, because I was like, I'm just surviving here, dude. Like, don't go into... Russell's like the newsman here, like, you know, he gives me
just keep up to date.
He gives me the rundown every morning. I'm like,
keep up to date with what's happening around the world. That's it. Yeah.
So then March hit, and March was our first lockdown. I think we had to cancel our Easter tourism. We do beach rides here in Lakes Entrance with the camels, and we had to close all our Easter bookings and refund thousands and thousands of dollars. You know, so like, it's just interesting to reflect on these things. Like, as a human species, I think we just want to survive. And it's like, what can we do to survive? Well, we go to work, we get money, we feed ourselves, blah, blah, blah. But when all those options are taken off the table, what have you got left? And that's sort of what we had to do quite majorly, is not pivot in a big way, but we focused a lot more on our online offers, which is our virtual Camel school. It is our Cameleer Academy, which is a membership like Netflix, but it's like Camelflix. So we had to pivot again. And I said to Russell, I said, this is so clear on how unsustainable tourism is. All you have to do is have a fire, have a flood, have a natural disaster, have a pandemic, and all of your earning capabilities get taken off the table, and that is scary.
It's sort of like if you put all your eggs into one basket and that basket breaks or has a leak.
That's been the biggest lesson this year, I think, is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have your other investments, or have your other things that you can do to make money, because we do need money to survive. No one's coming to us giving us money every week, because we're just people. You have to earn a living to survive. It's just you really wake up to that fact, I think, when you're in these sorts of situations. Yeah,
and at the same time, I was still doing some nursing work at the aged care centre, and that had changed, of course. Yeah, I was in still nursing and in the aged care sector, and that had changed. Yeah, we had to use the PPE, personal protection equipment, at work, and visitors weren't allowed, and so our job was actually not only did we have the day-to-day routine elements of that particular type of position, but also it was to reassure the residents, the elderly, because they were missing their families.
Their families weren't allowed to visit. Nobody was something that would happen on a daily basis has suddenly been taken away from them.
Yeah, and of course depression and anxiety was high, and a lot of our work was in actual fact counselling, if you like, and providing an atmosphere within inside the nursing home that was one of joy, and one of hope, and one of comfort as well. Unfortunately and very sadly, most of the death that happened here in Victoria owing to COVID was actually in nursing homes, which was a really sad thing to think that someone gets towards the end of their life, and that's unfortunately how they go, without being able to see their family. So the message that I received from that was take care of your relationships, of the people who you love. It was tough. But we got through it, thank goodness.
We're talking in between March and September, which is our second lockdown. So we did come out of a lockdown eventually. We tried our hand at homeschooling, because that was mandatory across the state. All kids were to be homeschooled. I would say that homeschooling is not for our kids.
Well,
they didn't like it.
The kids learnt a lot of things, but it certainly wasn't schooling.
Well, you could argue that.
They had more time together, so there was things that that got it sorted out within the family.
All the rivalries, got sorted out.
That got sorted out, and they started to actually interact better with each other towards the end.
That is true. I mean, for our eldest, and I know I've been speaking to other mums too that are in their children are in a similar age group, they were struggling with mentally. Like they miss their friends. They're tweens. They're coming into their teenagehood. They want to hang out with their friends. They're finding their individuality, and to be stuck around your parents and your family all the time when you want to be out with your friends was really, really hard on the tweens. The younger ones, well, yeah, I mean, the youngest one thought it was a joke. He's you're not my teacher, I ain't learning. So in the end, we just let it flow. We basically unschooled them, not schooled them. This is also when we started developing or having more animals on our properties. One blessing out of all of this, I mean, one of the blessings, you can always find blessings in everything if you look hard enough, I believe, is that for us personally, and also just a side note here, when humans try to find the positive in things, it's often because it's a survival thing kicking in. It keeps that willingness to want to go on. So that's actually a natural thing to experience. And people go, it's awful, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but we need that as humans. We need that positivity. We need that drive. to look towards the future.
Okay, so yeah, we've started the veggie garden, which was a great thing to do.
And we put off all of this for so many years because
of our busyness.
Because of our busyness. Our busyness. We were traveling overseas all the time. You're constantly go, go, go. And although we're still go, 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 we're actually creating sustainability for ourselves, which is really super exciting. And I'm talking sustainability with food, with food. And food, really,
water,
and
actually,
water, yes.
water. That's the other project. Yeah, with more water.
And so obviously we need food and water to survive, and these are the things that we're able. So we invited a lot more new friends onto the property. We started to incorporate a permaculture systematic approach to farming, I suppose, if we're farmers, I don't know.
Homesteading.
To homesteading, yes. So we were raising lots and lots of chickens. Like, I felt like there was an endless flow of chickens that I was raising. And of course, the kids being home from school, they were really involved with that, and they love having baby animals.
That's been a real positive too.
It's been such a blessing.
Yeah.
And we know that, and we made it aware for the kids that these are things that are going to grow up on our farm and going to produce food for you, whether that be eggs, which is majority of the stuff here, and meat, maybe. I don't know. I don't personally eat meat, but there are meat eaters in our family. But the other side with chickens too is they act as a
rotary hoe.
They till your soil. When we were setting up our veggie patches, we were getting the chickens to do the work on tilling the soil. So that basically we'd set up one patch, and then we'd put like a makeshift chicken pen in there, I suppose you could say, and then we leave them in there, and they dig up the grass and they dig up the soil, they fertilize it, and then you've got your veggie growing area, and then you transport them to the next one. So that was super exciting, and I really there's some amazing YouTube channels here on YouTube where I've been following and doing lots of research on permaculture setups and systems and all that sort of stuff. So I'll link them below because I do want to give them a shout out because they've been most helpful to our journey, and I've been buying their products and programs and things like that because you can only learn so much off YouTube videos unless you've got hours and hours to dig through the internet, which I don't. So I've been really grateful with that. And of course, ducks. Who wants dinner? You want dinner? You want dinner? Here we go. Watch out. We've got lots of ducks now, ducklings and actual ducks, and that actually has a lot to do with camels because snails live in wet environments, and snails lay eggs, feces, I don't know. They actually can, what do they lay?
I don't know.
They lay something.
Something, yeah.
Snails lay snails.
We'll find out.
Snails lay baby snails, I suppose. I don't know what they're called. But that is like a parasite to a camel, and it's a really bad parasite, a worm to a camel if they ingest it. So we got lots of ducks to help with our permaculture system to eat the snails. They love snails. So that problem is relatively solved. So we're happy
all
about
the ducks. That's sort of the project that we've started there. We've also got 2 new dogs in our family.
We do.
One Xena, which is just there somewhere.
Come on.
And the other one is Tilly, who's outside at the moment. So 2 new kelpies.
Tilly.
There's Tilly. Yeah, I'll show you Tilly. Yeah. Tilly, come here, darling.
So, these are like our forever dogs. We do have 2 family pet dogs, and we've got these Australian kelpies. They all come from working breed families, and you might be wondering,
Tilly,
are you going to use them on the camels? Look at her face. Oh. And the answer is no, we're not going to use them on the camels because you know why? Camels couldn't give 2 shenizers about dogs biting their feet or anything.
Tilly.
Camels just
Daniel.
don't respond to dogs in a herding situation. It's quite hilarious, actually. I was going to go into why we got the dogs.
Okay, why did we get the dogs?
Well, first of all,
It's part of
You know what?
part of this diversification.
and it's also like, I kind of remember half the things that happened this year. So it's like, what did happen and why did we decide to get dogs? So we've got 4 dogs now. And we got 2 Kelpies. One's a black and tan, one's a red and tan, and they're both female. And we'd like to try our hand at our own breeding lines of Kelpies. For sports and as sports pets, I suppose you could say, because that's what our focus is with them. And also for me, with my dog Xena, she's the black and tan, is I'm training her up to be an assistant dog. So she can go anywhere with me publicly, which is super cool. I do struggle, even though it doesn't seem obvious, I do struggle a little bit with social anxiety. Particularly since becoming a mum. So having a dog with me just seemed like a really sensible idea. Also PTSD comes up for me as well. So, you know, like, hello, dogs are like the best thing in the world to keep you comfort. So super excited about that.
So at the meantime, I've been building some saddles.
Oh.
We're going to talk about the saddle situation.
Camel saddles.
With everything else that's happened, and you know, especially with the kids at home, and you know, all that sort of thing, it has taken so long to make these saddles for some clients. And
You totally underestimated it.
and
I did not. I'm like, this is going to take forever. He's like, no.
Yeah, and
I'll pump it out in a month.
Well, normally you could, but
Normally.
but this was not a normal year. So yeah, I'm actually at the tail end of that project now of making these saddles. So thank goodness, because
And they are beautiful.
well, thank you.
I mean, your craftsmanship is something I could never aspire to. I'm not that way inclined.
But the thing is that I mean, when I do make a saddle, I make it so that basically my theory is to have a saddle that you can take out into the desert. And you can stay out there for months at a time and know full well that you're going to come back and your equipment's not going to be a problem.
So ultimately what you're saying is you build saddles that last, that you don't have to replace stuff every 2 seconds.
No, definitely not. No. I mean, they're a very practical, solid looking saddle. That's all there is to it.
Another thing we invited to our property is meat rabbits. We realised that with, you know, this accumulation of dogs and things like that we're going through a lot of meat. We feed all raw diet, so we replicate the dog's natural diet. So, you know, raw meats and vegetables and all the things that they would normally eat, eggs, of course. And what we found is, you know, this is a lot of plastic packaging in the things that we're buying, and for me, I get really bothered by plastic packaging. I hate the stuff. I find it unnecessary half the time. And then I don't even know how the idea came about.
You watched a video.
I probably watched a YouTube video, but it was about human meat consumption of meat rabbits, raising them, you know, as your own on your own property in relatively small areas. And I'm like, oh, we could do that for dog meat. And utilize the bones and organs and absolutely everything. So we have, we're starting our own little rabbitry, if that's a word. So yeah, we're super excited about getting. It is a word.
Is it?
Yeah.
You just made it.
Well, no, I read a book about it. Rabbitry. You're a rabbiteur. No. So yeah, we're breeding rabbits for the dog meat.
Yeah. Oh, during the period in between the 2 lockdowns, John Elliott, right?
July, I think that was.
Yeah, July. Cameleer Expeditioner. 3 years ago he contacted us and wanted some training to be able to get camels and handle camels and train them up for his expedition, which he's currently on. He's basically gone from northern Queensland and cut through New South Wales into Victoria and to our place, and that's where we caught up with him. So
it was a pretty impressive sight. You actually weren't here when he walked down our driveway, but you know, just to train or to help train doesn't sound right, but, you know, to educate someone on how to do this dream of theirs and to see their dream walk down our driveway or our lane.
Totally loaded up with all their gear and trained camels.
All the camels.
Fantastic.
Was just amazing to witness.
Yeah.
And it was like a bit of a wow factor for us. And then, of course, John stayed with his camels for an extended period of time.
About 3 weeks. But in the meantime, because he's doing it for a charity, well, not a charity, or an awareness, if you like, of skin cancer. Because in preparing for his journey, he went and got checked. He found out that he had a melanoma. He's only a young fella, 36 now, or something like that. All right, so he found out that he had a melanoma and had it cut out. And realised just how close a shave that was to his life. So we went off to Mole Map, an organisation that goes ahead and checks skin for melanomas.
So it's not your normal GP, because they are they're slightly trained in it, but not specialised in it. But these guys are.
But somewhere in all that, a young doctor who was straight out of university. She said to me, have you had your bloods done recently? No, it had been about 2 years since I'd had my bloods done, to see, you know, what's happening inside and seeing, you know, just the annual checkup sort of thing.
Which you're so good at.
Oh yeah, us blokes are hopeless, aren't we, you know, getting to the doctor. Well, I've changed my tune on that.
Really?
Because, yes, I've changed my tune.
I like this tune.
Because it was found out that my PSI on, I think that's what it's called, a PSI.
Or is it PIS, because PSI is tyre?
Yeah.
Prostate, something.
Whatever.
Levels.
Anyway, yeah, so the numbers were high.
For the prostate levels.
For my age. And so I had a second test, and it had gone down slightly, but they said, well, why don't we do an MRI just to check out and see what, you know, what's happening there. So we did that. And sure as eggs, has found out that I've got prostate cancer. So the specialist, he didn't make it really, he was very direct, which was great. I really appreciated it, and he just said, look, you know, we'll get it cut out. And so coming the new year,
well, first we had to find out if the cancer had spread, because that's
so I'm
not
still
ideal.
waiting on those results. Yeah.
So there was a PET scan in there for that testing.
Yeah, that's where they inject the iodine radiation fluid into you and
you glow.
Up whatever. And I'm still waiting on those results, but in the meantime, I'm getting the prostate cut out in the Happy New Year.
So for us now, obviously, this video is relatively live, you know, in the sense it's December. And, you know, December's never really an easy month for me personally. Russell can speak for himself on that. But, you know, 5 years ago now, this is when our son Noah was born, and he died 4 days later. So it's never, ever an easy time of the year, you know, and honestly, I don't think Christmas has ever been the same since that, because it just feels like one thing after another, like, you know, the birth and then the death, and then there's Christmas, and then there's demand from community and family and friends. And it just, for me, I get all constricted, and I suddenly feel like I can't breathe. And really what I want to do is just go away to a exclusive location and just, you know, mellow on it and celebrate his short little life. What's it like for you?
No, yeah, exactly the same, yeah. Yeah, totally. You know, to lose a son, and to think that now he would have been 5 years old, running around, you know, sort of giving us a headache. But, you know, having that joy in your life, and to have that sort of ripped away from you. And his death was not easy.
No.
It definitely wasn't. And the way how it happened, it was not easy as well. But
I feel like over the years it's gotten not better, but I think we've learned to cope with it differently.
That's what happens.
And because I don't think it'll ever get better. People say that, and you know, so we just cope with it a little bit differently every year.
Yeah, we've done some beach riding leading up to Christmas. However,
the tourism side of our business.
And the tourism side of our business, but it's been interrupted because I've got so many appointments with so many specialists now before my operation. So yeah, it's tough. And then of course come January, where it is the tourism season, and
we're going to be closed.
And we're going to be closed. So it's sort of like
fires,
okay,
lockdown, fires.
What's next? But you know, the whole thing about life, I think, is being resilient.
Yeah.
And
it does build resilience.
You know, it's a matter of, okay, we could all go off into the corner and cry. But that doesn't really do anything any good. It might release emotions, which is great, and you know, you might feel better personally for doing that, you know, just that release. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily go ahead and solve a problem. And
except for that problem of being all
bound up,
which is
so it's
a problem.
It's a release, yeah. But the real thing to do is to say, okay, well, what is next? How can we pivot? How can we, you know, make good out of something that's happening that's not so good? And to be honest, getting my prostate out and knowing about this, and guys, I'm especially talking to you, all right? Us men are not easy with going to the doctor and all that sort of thing. Prostate cancer can occur from a very early age. There's no age limit on it. And just to have those annual checkups, it's only a blood test, and I'll also check at the same time, cholesterol and you know, this and that and the other, okay, all in the one hit. And if there is a problem, then you've got options and an avenue to work towards it, and mine is to get my prostate out. And I'm blessed that we've got the medics and the knowledge and the science, you know, to be able to get it out.
And the medical system that we have, because it probably won't end up costing us a cent because of our Australian medical system. So like #grateful, because we know, you know, in other countries it's different.
It would have been really expensive already, and they haven't even had it out.
At least, yeah.
So get checked, okay? Because
I think
at least at the end of it, all right, there'll be changes in my life, definitely, but I've still got life, and I'll still be able to do things and make a difference, you know, to my life, my family's life, and my local community and the world's life, you know, in some way, shape or form.
I think that's a message to all humans though. Just get your annual checks done.
Yeah,
like definitely. I do as well, because like sometimes you can feel really run down, you don't know why, you get a check done, oh, your iron's low, or this and that and the other. Like, you know, I think blood tests, and it's funny because we use the same principle for our camels. You know, if we're ever wondering about our camels' health, we get them blood tested, we get them parasite tested, we knock out all the scientific stuff. You know, and it's really the same for humans too. So we're doing that with our camels, and then we're implementing that with ourselves too. If you hate needles, it's like, oh well.
So what?
Just think of it as part of life.
Actually, it didn't even hurt. God, I've had worse splinters.
Yeah. So where are we going to from here? Like, you know, we don't know what 2021 is going to involve. We don't know if we're going to be able to travel again. We don't know if we're going to be able to do the things that we had planned for 2021 with events-wise, in-person stuff. Ultimately, what we are continuing to offer is the best way that we can serve at the moment without closing our business down, which we've highly considered, is to actually serve on an online basis, and that is through our Cameleer Academy membership. That, like, if you want a hub to come to learn everything camels that is more expansive and more organised and collated, is that how you say that? Collated. You know, in one spot, then, you know, you need to be part of the academy. I mean, that is our membership offer. It is on a monthly subscription, so you can cancel anytime, and that is just what we're offering.
And, you know, sometimes I get a bit sort of depressed about these sorts of things, in that, you know, when I first started the business, I was out there in the desert, and I was doing safaris, and I was with camels, and, you know, people were coming, and it was all tickety-boodle in that way. and now a lot of the in-person stuff has ceased or it's slowed right down and that sort of stuff, and I do get a bit sort of like melancholy about it, and Tara will vouch for that because she cops the raw end of it, but when I met Tara and I explained how it took me so long to learn about camels and how I didn't want it to be that way for other people because they're such a magnificent animal, and to have camels in your life and to be able to enjoy them and be able to know about them and understand them, and then for work with them and have adventures with them, it shouldn't have taken that long for me or anyone, and that was my whole intention, was to develop a business so that it was easier for everyone to learn than what it was for myself. And now that when looking at the membership site and all that sort of thing, that's a reality. And
it is the best, honestly. Like
it's
when I
amazing.
even think about my start of the journey, I was only like, even though Russell's an amazing person and had a lot of experience, I was only learning from Russell. But now I know what I know with the camel vet Margie Bale, who you've probably seen on this channel here. She's on board with us. We're teaching tutorials every month. Every month new content gets added. It's like, holy shit. Like, if I had this...
Can you swear on television?
Well, you can beep it. If I had that, the amount of camel health problems that would have not existed for us, which to me is more of a focus, because you're very experienced with the training side of things, and that just would have just gone out the window. And I do wake up at night sometimes just thinking, our camels were just experimented on half the time, and because we thought we knew, or we did what someone else told us to do, and it turns out that someone else was incorrect. I don't like that. And we admittedly say we got some things wrong.
Yeah.
And we feel bad because we passed on some information that we got wrong to other students
at that time.
Yeah. But now we know better, we can do better, and that's what we're offering. So if you're interested in joining our membership, you can, for a very small fee compared to actually one-on-one consults with us and Margie. You're looking at $600 at least. It's a very, very small fee. You can head over to there and sign up and become a member. That will be our focus in 2021, is just getting our community happening in there, because there's so much value in there, and would hate for any camel owner or camel carer to miss out on that information and make some mistakes that you don't need to, basically.
No, that's right.
So we're going to take a break here for a while. We don't know how long, because we're considering Russell's operation and his recovery time as well, and that's going to mean that I get super busy because I've got to do more things, and that's fine.
I'll probably be 4 weeks just not doing much at all. I'm not allowed to lift even a kilogram.
So where we're going to be hanging out is going to be in the Cameleer Academy. We're going to be nurturing our members and giving them all the camel content. So you might not see us for a while here, or you might see older content that we've refurbished and recycled. But if you want to definitely continue learning new things, you can hang out with us in the Academy. We'd love to have you there. So happy days to you. We hope you find solace at this time, no matter where you are, what you're doing, and that you can be with your family and friends, even if it's via Zoom. Thank you so much for being part of our channel here and listening to our podcast this year. We so appreciate you and your camel loving self. No matter if you have camels, not have camels, whatever, we appreciate you. And we'll see you in 2021.
All right, see you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Merry Christmas.
You're sitting on my pillow. Go get your own pillow.
Send me out.
These are really hard chairs.
Oh, for God's sake.